I see a lot of people discussing the whole analog versus digital thing, and I think there's a side to it that people tend to overlook in these discussions that I'm hopefully going to cover today. This is basically going to be me telling two seemingly random stories about microphones, and then making a point at the end, and hopefully it'll all make sense. So, a little while ago, maybe a year now, I was doing this vocal session with this incredible singer, and in the studio there was her singing, there was me engineering it, and there was one of her co-writers, and we bring her in, and we do these like mic shootouts. So we've got quite a few fancy mics. We've got a 47, we've got an 87, we've got a 414, and we've got an LCT 240 from Lewitt. So the other three mics I've just listed are like thousands and thousands of pounds, and this one's like 80 quid. And we do these tests, and we have her sing through it, and we have her sing through all the others, and we listen back to the takes, and the one that suits her voice best, and we all agree on this, it's clearly the 240. The issue we run into is, on her performances in front of the 240, the passion was not there. There was like a clear lack of like oomph to it. In front of the other mics, she was like invigorated and like really gunning for it. And then she steps in front of the 240, and it seems like some of the magic is lost. Some of the thrill of recording in a studio just isn't there anymore. So we do one last test. And what we have is we have the 47, which she was like most excited for, and the 240, which had the best sound for her. And we put them next to each other, so they're basically perfectly aligned, and she sings in front of them, and we say, yeah, we'll record with the 47 because that's what gives you the best performance. Now, what we didn't tell her was we recorded both. And the whole session, the 47 and the 240 are there, and they're both tracking the whole time, and the only thing that went on the finished record was the 240. None of what the 47 captured actually made it onto the final product. But the performance was there because she thought it was the 47. Now, the other side to this is a session I did way back, years and years and years ago. I was at this show, and I saw this singer, and she was like absolutely mind-blowing. She was hitting every single note, and there was such passion, such incredible delivery. She was really imparting herself onto the music. And I went and spoke to her, and then like a couple of weeks later, I was the engineer at her first ever session recording vocals. And she's in the booth, she's in front of an 87, it's going into a 1073, proper fancy setup, and it's not there. She's like nervous, she's shaky, the passion's gone, she's not hitting all her notes, there's just no energy. We bring her out of the booth, and we have a chat, and after a little bit of chatting, hand her a 58, and actually just plug it straight into a preamp on the interface. There's no fancy preamp, it's just a 58, and she's just standing in the control room for this. And suddenly, the performance is way better. The passion's back, it feels like a performance again. It may not be the best audio quality, but realistically these days, 58 and a Focusrite, you can make anything. You can do whatever you want. The point of this was that these two stories demonstrate that the equipment you use and the material conditions that sort of envelop your creative process, they don't just shape how you make your music, they shape the music you make and the feelings you impart into that. But crucially here, in opposite directions for these two stories. We had one artist who had to feel like they had the big proper studio experience before the passion was there. And we had another artist where we had to rip down that feeling. They had to feel like they were just standing there with a mic. The point I'm trying to contribute to this is the idea that the gear you use is part of the experience. And a lot of the time it's that experience that will shape the music you make. So when considering do you need analog gear or not, consider what feelings am I trying to create? What experience am I attempting to impart? Is analog gear going to help with that? And if you think so, and you think it's cost effective for that, go for it. Realistically these days, the audio quality isn't that impactful. But sometimes the feeling of properly twisting a knob, pushing a button, sometimes that's what makes the difference for your artists, for your producers, for you as your engineer. Cheers for listening, guys. Get in touch if you need to record anything, yeah?